If you're about to buy a Ferrari 308 GTB, then you need to be very, very careful because you could be overpaying by around $80,000. Let me show you two different examples. This beautiful gray Ferrari has sold for around $150,000. And this yellow one is for sale for $90,000. Now, what's the reason behind this massive price gap? I mean, you can easily be paying $150,000 for this yellow one, and you wouldn't even know that it's not worth that much. The difference is very simple. It comes down to the material of these cars. Now, the first 800 of these cars were made out of fiberglass. And this material called fiberglass is very light compared to steel. And only the first 800 of these cars were made from this material. After that, Ferrari switched to steel to save costs. The car became heavier, and that's the whole story. Now, the fact that the fiberglass car is lighter did increase the price, but it's also down to the fact that it's rarer to have a fiberglass car. Only 800 of these were made from fiberglass, and almost 2,900 were made from steel. So it's a simple supply and demand equation. If you own one of the Vetroresina fiberglass 308 GTBs, you basically own a piece of history. Now, how do you actually tell these two different cars apart if the difference is just in the material of the body? There are two ways. There's the visual way, which is not very accurate. It involves looking at things like the A-pillars and the back of the car, the rear headlights. But to be honest, it's not very accurate. You know, if you're gonna buy a six-figure asset, I wouldn't rely solely on, visual things. I want a concrete check, right? I mean, if you look at the rear headlights of these two cars, you can barely tell them apart, right? So what's the second method? Now, this is the method I personally recommend, and it's very concrete. And if you're going to be paying $100,000, $150,000, or $80,000, this is the one you want to be using. So you're looking at a car, and you want to know which material is used and how valuable it actually is. So what you do is, if you're looking at a listing, you go down, you grab the VIN number, just copy it right here, and you go to something called the 308 GTB register. This is basically a collection of most, if not all, of the Ferrari 308 GTBs out there, and it basically tells you what type of car it is, if it's a steel car, if it's a fiberglass car. So you just want to go to the serial numbers here, and you want to paste the VIN number right here. Now, obviously, you won't find all of these cars on this database, but if you don't find it here, it's safe to assume that it's a steel car. Actually, in this car specific case, I think they added this 308 GTB to the start. So if we just remove that, yep, the car is there. This one is a steel car, so it's listed correctly. They're not lying about it. It's priced correctly. $90,000. Let's grab a different example. Right, this VIN number. Now, the listing says it's a Vetroresina, but we want to make sure ourselves, so we're going to grab the VIN number, going to go back to the register, and we're going to paste it in. As you can see here, this car is on the register, and it's confirmed a Vetroresina. Tells you the original color, the year, the version. This is the safest way to verify the car before you actually buy it. Don't rely on any visual checks that anyone tells you on the forums or anywhere else. I went ahead and grabbed a different example of 308 GTB that is a steel car, right? It doesn't state anywhere on the listing that it's a Vetroresina, but look how it's priced. It's $150,000. And it doesn't say it's a Vetroresina, okay? So that's clearly a high price. But if you don't know this trick or this method that I'm talking about, then you may think or assume that it's a Vetroresina just because of its price. And if you ask them, they may just say, oh yeah, it's a Vetroresina. So this is how you check. You go down to the VIN number right here, You go to the register and you paste it in. I already had it pasted in. As you can see, this one is made out of steel, right? 1978 Rosa Corso red, and it's made out of steel. So if you just assume that it's a Vetroresina based on the price, you are gonna overpay by $80,000. Do you really want to do that? No, you don't. You gotta check before you buy. Now, another thing I want to emphasize is 90%, okay? I'm not gonna put a number, but most of the cars out there are on this register, right? And if you put in the VIN number, they're gonna tell you if it's a steel car or a Vetroresina car. But some cars aren't documented on this database, so it's safer to assume that the car you're looking at is a steel one rather than a Vetroresina one if it's not on this register. But another way you can confirm is through the Ferrari book, right? The red book. This tells you how the car left the factory, basically. Now, to show you that the examples that I've shown you aren't just isolated examples, I've pulled up the classic.com CMB, and this is basically their predicted price for each of these cars. And the steel ones are around $84,000, expected to appreciate. The Vetroresina ones are around 170,000, also expected to appreciate. But this is just to show you how much of a price gap there is, just because of a simple detail that most people would not even think about. You do not want to be in the position where someone sells you a steel car for the price of a fiberglass car. Now, the 308 is just one example of the market mispricing a car because buyers don't know what to check and how to check it exactly. But this trend, this occurrence happens across almost every major supercar brand, the modern classics and even some of the newer ones. And every time the tell or the detail is different depending on the car. I put the exact method I use to find these details on any car in one playbook so that you can know for sure the car you're buying is the right one and you're paying a fair price for it. Link in the description.